that Jesus was the one who kept the commandments, so we don't have to keep them. Or that we don't have to keep the commandments because we're not under law, but we're under grace. That we don't have to keep the commandments, that's just the letter, but we live by the Spirit. You're making a liar out of God. Because God says that He will have a remnant that have the patience of the saints and keep the commandments of God. It is possible to keep God's commandments according to Revelation 14 and verse 12. And then another characteristic is given of the remnant. It says that they have the faith of Jesus, which when we studied, we noticed that it is faith in Jesus. That's the correct translation. Faith in Jesus. You see, if you had only that they keep the commandments of God, you might reach the conclusion that this is legalism. But you see, you can't keep the commandments of God unless you have faith in Jesus. We dealt about this issue of faith and works. Keeping the commandments of God would be the works. But you can't keep the commandments of God unless you have faith in Jesus. In other words, faith in Jesus is what empowers you to keep God's holy commandments. And so God will have a people that have the patience of the saints. A people who keep the commandments of God, but they don't keep them legalistically like the Pharisees. They keep the commandments of God because they have faith in Jesus. And then there's another characteristic which is not found in the third angel's message, but it is found in Revelation 12:17, which is a parallel verse, and it's also found in Revelation 19 verse 10. The remnant of God also have the testimony of Jesus Christ. And we notice that the testimony of Jesus Christ is the gift of prophecy. In other words, God's remnant people will have a prophetic voice in their midst, not to add to the Bible, but a prophet that will enlighten, amplify, explain, correct those who go astray from Bible truth. The remnant will have the testimony of Jesus, which is the spirit of prophecy. So God's people will have definite characteristics. If you want to find the true church, you have to find a church that teaches that we're supposed to fear God to the point of keeping His commandments. A church that teaches that we're supposed to be careful with what we put in our bodies and what we put in our minds. A church that teaches that we need to reflect the glorious character of God. In other words, it's not enough to just believe what Jesus did. We need to reveal His character. We need to have a sanctified life. Not justified, but also sanctified. It has to be a people that believe we're in the hour of God's judgment. It has to be a people who believe that the dead are dead until the resurrection. It has to be a people that proclaim that Babylon is fallen, and they teach contrary to the wine of Babylon. It has to be a people who teach that we're supposed to keep God's commandments. A people who have faith in Jesus. A people who have the patience of the saints. A people who have the prophetic voice in their midst. I'll tell you, there's not very many options out there if you're looking for a church that has all of these characteristics. Now you say, Pastor, why does the message of Babylon appeal to so many people? Because we must admit that most people are not on God's side. Most people are on the devil's side. What is it that appeals to Babylon that would lead most people to embrace the teachings and the practices of Babylon?